at www.rapidfm965.com or radiogarden.com.
Better yet, get our mobile app from the Google Play Store.
Catch the pulse of the Southeast on Rapid 96.5.
Correro, your front row seat to the most pressing issues from the corridors of power to the heart of our communities. We bring you unfiltered insight, fearless journalism, and the conversations that matter. And I invite you to this big conversation table as we analyze the top stories, ask the tough questions, and hold power to account. News that informs, analysis that empowers, debate that drives change. Correro, the big conversation, every weekday at 7 p.m. only on Rapid TV.
A very good evening to you and welcome to Correro, a platform where we help you make sense with pressing national issues. My name is Godwin Sunday. Nigeria's political landscape continues to evolve, and one of the most closely watched claims and a series of court battles that have raised questions about its stability and future direction. These disputes go beyond party politics. In any democracy, a strong and organized opposition plays a critical role in holding the government accountable and offering alternative policy choices to citizens. Well, having said that, when internal conflicts weaken that structures, the broader political system can also at this point be affected and also feel the impact. So, what exactly is driving the leadership tussle even within the People's Democratic Party? And will the party be able to come out of this quagmire, political quagmire if you like to use the word, in order for them to mitigate the whole political space and get Nigerians to further regain confidence in the People's Democratic Party, knowing that it was one time a dominant force within the political space to reckon with? Well, tonight I'm being joined by Barrister Salifu Oguche, and we will be looking at all of these issues together. Of course, he'll be helping us put these issues in perspective, looking at it from the legal angle of what has played out just this week, which we've seen that the Court of Appeal have squashed out quite a number of cases from the People's Democratic Party. What does this even mean for the party? All of this we'll try to put in perspective. Please go nowhere as we'll continue immediately after this break.
Correro, your front row seat to the most pressing issues from the corridors of power to the heart of our communities. We bring you unfiltered insight, fearless journalism, and the conversations that matter. And I invite you to this big conversation table as we analyze the top stories, ask the tough questions, and hold power to account. News that informs, analysis that empowers, debate that drives change. Correro, the big conversation, every weekday at 7 p.m. only on Rapid TV.
Welcome back. Right now, I'm being joined by Barrister Salifu Oguche, and we will be looking at a lot of issues on this table tonight. But first, it's a delight to have you join us again on Correro, Barrister.
Thank you, Mr. Godwin. It's always my pleasure.
Well, it's a very good time to talk about the People's Democratic Party right now because it's still fresh from the Court of Appeal. Although we understand that the party, a faction of the party, will be heading to the Supreme Court to be able to test some of the legality or otherwise of the judgment that has been even passed right now. But the People's Democratic Party is currently being is currently facing a very deep internal divisions from a legal standpoint right now. How serious is this crisis for Nigerian main opposition political party?
Once again, thank you for having me, Mr. Godwin. If you would remember very well, if you can recollect, precisely on the 17th of November, we were here and we predicted this same outcome. What just played out, we predicted it on this television on the 17th of November, a day after the Ibadan convention. And I, for one, am not surprised at the turnout of events. But in any case, it's unfortunate for the People's Democratic Party. It's also unfortunate for the Nigerian political landscape, because a very integral element of our political system, which is the most dominant and vibrant, as it were, opposition, is in deep crisis.
Well, Barrister, for the People's Democratic Party right now, we understand that they have majorly two factions, but then although some persons have said that there have also been a split in all of those factions, which is not yet confirmed. Again, with multiple factions laying claim to leadership within the party, what does the law actually even say, or what does the law recognize as the legitimate leadership structure? Because I'm asking this because a lot of courts right now are saying the party should go back and resolve their internal differences. But in the case of PDP, it tends to be a different a kettle of fish. So help us understand, what does the law actually recognize as the legitimate leadership structure?
You know, in legal parlance, there is this established position of the law that once there is a judgment of courts, no matter how ridiculous it seems, it is binding and valid unless and until same it's set aside. As it stands today, the Anyang and Wike's-led faction of the People's Democratic Party is the official leadership of the PDP. Whether we like it or not, by the judgment of the Court of Appeal delivered yesterday, being 11th of March 2026, the Anyang-led faction is the official National Executive Committee recognized by the law as the organ of the People's Democratic Party that is responsible for its affairs as at today.
So as the court set aside the judgment from the Oyo State High Court?
Yes, that's the implication. You know, the judgment yesterday from the Court of Appeal was on all of the issues as they affect PDP. They were consolidated and a composite judgment was given. It upheld the judgment of the Federal High Court that nullified the Congress that was held in Ibadan on the 15th and 16th of November 2025, and upheld the leadership of the Anyang-led National Executive Committee of the People's Democratic Party. It nullified and recognized the Turaki's-led executive, which was elected at the Ibadan Convention. It, in fact, restrained INEC from recognizing that executive committee and all sort of positions. So as it stands, the legally recognizable leadership of the PDP is that of the Anyang faction.
All right, so we had a similar experience with that of the Labour Party when we had the Nanadi Usman faction of the Labour Party and Aburi versus Aburi. And we saw what the position of the Supreme Court,
yes,
which was the party should go back and resolve its internal mechanism. As that changed, is the Supreme Court right now not even derailing from, is the appeal court not derailing from the Supreme Court's judgment?
That is why Turaki's faction insists that they are heading to the Supreme Court. You know, the Supreme Court is the final court of the land. The Court of Appeal is, however, at liberty to take its own position just like it has taken, but ultimately the Supreme Court will give a final verdict with respect to that. As it stands today, the judgment of the Court of Appeal is the subsisting judgment of the court. The Anyang-led executive is the subsisting, legally recognizable National Executive Committee of the People's Democratic Party. It is not in our place to preempt what the Supreme Court would do, because the Supreme Court in certain circumstances is at liberty to deviate from its previous position. It depends on the facts placed before it. So we can't preempt, and it is not even good. It is not proper for us to sit here and begin to preempt the Supreme Court. But mind you, even at the Court of Appeal yesterday, with respect to other matters that borders on the PDP, the court directed parties to consider alternative resolution, to consider amicable settlement, because the court knows that ultimately, the court took cognizance of the fact that ultimately amicable resolution is in the best interest of not just the party, but also of democracy and the stability of the Nigerian political system. So ultimately, the PDP, the choice before the PDP as it stands today is either to seek the Supreme Court's position on the matter or to take the route of reconciliation.
On the first hand,
yes,
we've seen a faction of the PDP, the Makide's faction as it were, conducting a convention in Ibadan. And it came out successful for a lot of persons. Right now, the court is now asking the weakest faction to be recognized as the authentic leadership structure of the party. Now, putting all of this together, is the judiciary not weakening the party's, People's Democratic Party to be precise, ability to function effectively ahead of the 2027 elections?
Mr. Gordon, with all respect, I think it would be out of place and unfair to the judiciary for you to place the blame at this point at the doorstep of the judiciary.
But that's what it seems.
But why do I say that? Who brought the matter before the judiciary in the first place?
No, because if there was a consensus candidate.
No, let's look at it.
Okay, please help us.
Let's look at it.
Help us.
The parties had issues. They told different parts. Some
Turaki and the...
Some convened a convention at Ibadan and elected the Turaki convention. Before the convention, the Wike-led faction went to court to stop the convention. The Makinde-led faction went to Ibadan court and obtained an order urging them to go ahead with the convention. The parties were already at loggerheads, and they sought the intervention of the court as an arm of government that is constitutionally empowered to interpret laws and make pronouncement. What do you expect the court to do? To fold its hand and allow anarchy to prevail?
But the Anyanwu faction, the Turaki faction tend to enjoy more from the constitution of the party, looking at it, other than the Anyanwu faction. As a matter of contingency, a lot of people believe that the Anyanwu's tenure in office has also elapsed. The court is not looking at all of this. Rather, the court is looking at taking it retrospectively to the convention. I'm asking again at this point, regardless of who brings the case to the court, is the court not weakening the structure of the PDP? And can this be a deliberate attempt by the judicial arm of government to further weaken our democratical strength?
I am not holding brief for the judiciary.
All right, please.
But as a lawyer, I know too well, I know very, very well that courts decide matter based on facts placed before them. The courts don't manufacture evidence. The courts don't rely on rumor. The courts don't rely on hearsay. The court determines matters squarely on the basis of facts put before the court. And take cognizance of one fact. The Anyanwu-led faction and all of that had commenced this action as at that time their tenure was still running. So if their tenure had expired subsequently, that would not matter to the courts. Because the action, what the court looks at is their position as at the time the matter was filed. And as at that time, they were still lawfully in place national executive of the People's Democratic Party. Without holding brief for them, I want to say with all sense of sincerity that the court in this case has done nothing fundamentally wrong. You may want to begrudge the court on the position, but again, how can you begrudge the court when you are not the court? You didn't see the facts that was placed before the court. You didn't see the evidence that was presented before the court and all of that. So it is the parties who have conducted themselves in relatively irresponsible manner, who have not been able to adhere to their own constitution, who have not been able to, as matured adults, as people that society look up to, who have not been able to adhere to rules that they give to themselves, that we should hold responsible for this.
But you know that posterity will tend to judge even what we are even doing right now, because we will be tried in the tribunal of history by some of the precedents that we are setting right now. But then, because when you look at the legal precedents of a leadership within the People's Democratic Party and the way the disputes are handled, there are a lot of concerns right now, which is the way this crisis is being handled. Is it being handled academically, or is being handled practically to set a very good precedent for other political parties to follow suit? Taking it from the legal angle.
You know, what the law is always different from what it ought to be. The law is practical. Academically, like you said, a whole lot of Nigerians would have wished that the Turaki-led air school is validated for the sake of stability and continuity. I also share that sentiment. But unfortunately, the courts are bound by facts. By the facts presented before my lords, in their wisdom, they felt otherwise. I don't think, frankly speaking, that this has deepened democracy. Rather, it has fractured democracy in a way. But unfortunately, the law is not about sentiment. The law is not about what we feel. It's not about what we think. It is what it is, which is the law itself. So the law in this circumstance remain as pronounced by the Court of Appeal. There is nothing we can do about it other than for the aggrieved parties to head to the SupremeUrt.
All right. So let's even go to the electoral body, which is INEC.
INEC, yes.
Now, is there a possibility that the electoral body may refuse to recognize candidates from a faction if the dispute remains unresolved?
It goes without saying. As it stands now, the Turaki-led faction cannot present candidates to the Independent National Electoral, because the judgment of the Court of Appeal restrained INEC from recognizing the Turaki-led faction. So on what basis would they be presenting candidates to INEC? There is no basis. And let me tell you, the loophole there, it's, as it stands now, the Anyanwu-led executive committee, is their tenure still running? Can they be recognized as a legally in place National Executive Committee of the People's Democratic Party as to conduct primaries and present candidates? There are a lot of issues because, like you raised earlier, their tenure ought to have elapsed. And the PDP, represented by the Anyanwu faction, ought to have conducted congresses across the states and proceeded to convention and have a new leadership in place as at this time, preparatory to the 2027 general election. And all of that is in a very dicey and floating situation now. Sincerely, I think the PDP is in a very bad shape.
All right, very bad shape it is. But then it's not just the PDP. The Labour Party has its own fair share. Of course, we understand that we have 4 different factions even within the Labour Party. We have the Papa faction, we have the Aburi faction, the Nanadi Usman faction, we have the Ifagbemi Professor.
But one thing we know for sure is the fact that most of these parties are in crisis. Like you also noted earlier, the what do you call it? ADC narrowly escaped the same fate, and I think we give it to the dexterity and maturity of the players. They remember those guys are masters of the roles. They were the ones that called the shots in PDP and in Nigeria to a larger extent for over 16 years, and that gives them some degree of understanding of the system, and that was how they were able to escape the landmines planted for them by those as they were. But the point to be made here is the fact that all of this do not mean well for democracy, for stability of our electoral system, and all of that. And if nothing drastic is done, I think we are heading towards a one-party state,
all right,
which is not good for
typically, we've seen the court right now. A lot of people have accused the court of being the last electoral body, other than being the last hope of the common man, where almost all the members of the House of Representatives cases were tried and they were given some form of approval in competent court of laws. Then returning back to the minority political parties, we're seeing the dispute and we're seeing what the court holds as against popular opinions right now. Should Nigerians begin to depend on the courts to appoint leadership, political leadership for various political parties? Should this be the trajectory?
It's actually a sad narrative, because you have leaders who, for one reason or the other, most often on technical grounds, impose on Nigerians, especially at the legislative level. So many persons who are in the National Assembly and in our various state houses of assembly are not the true representatives of the people. You have cases whereby the people voted overwhelmingly for Mr. A, and for some very flimsy or even valid legal technicalities or legal grounds, you have them to change, and an individual who lost overwhelmingly at the poll is returned as their representative. First, it creates an issue of legitimacy, because the people actually did not vote for that individual. He doesn't owe them allegiance, and the people also don't see him as their representative. There is a gap between such representatives and the people. There is no synergy. There is no working together. And most often than not, we are having leaders who are not the representatives of the people, who don't feel they owe the people their mandate, their allegiance, and all of this are working against democracy. They are working against the growth and development of the electoral system.
All right. So basically, outside all of this legal tussle and also the various court shakes, even across the board, do you see this People's Democratic Party coming out of this legal tussle strong, better, and more productive?
Without sounding pessimistic, I have serious doubts as to the ability of the People's Democratic Party to come out of all of this quagmire stronger and better, especially with respect to the forthcoming 2027 election. The PDP as it stands today, it's like, to borrow your words, it's so weak, it's so factionalized, and the destruction of PDP is internal. Because if we must call a spade, some members of the PDP are working with the intention, well-calculated intention, of holding the party down for the ruling party. And when you have a situation such as that, it becomes very difficult. Like, are you aware that between yesterday and today, about 6-7 lawmakers, about 2, 3, 4 reps members who've jumped ship? They have left the People's Democratic Party and they camped into the ADC. And you should expect more. What does it tell you? That the PDP is going down. And I look at the trustees of the People's Democratic Party yesterday talking about reconciliation, getting the party stronger, bringing the parties together and the party together, the faction, the warring factions together and all of that. And I asked myself one question. I said, what has become of us as Africans? Where were these elders all the while when these parties were warring? Where were they? Now, there is a victory, there is a defeat. Is it at this point that you begin to make peace? When it's practically becoming impossible for you to put the house together for the sake of presenting a formidable force in the 2027 general election? I have my doubts. The PDP might come back stronger, but certainly not before the 2027 general election.
It's too short a time.
It's too short a time with all the landmines laid ahead of the PDP. It's too short a time for them to come out of all of it. Let me also remind you that the PDP suffered a major loss in the recently conducted local government area council election in the FCT. The FCT has been a stronghold of the PDP for over 2 decades. The PDP, notwithstanding change of leadership at every level, had the FCT as its stronghold. But in the last area council election, the PDP suffered huge loss, and you should expect more of such. Most especially now that the PDP is even going to have a peculiar case of which faction will present acceptable candidates to the Independent National Electoral Commission. So it's most likely that the PDP may not be on the ballot. Okay, it's already happening in Osun, forthcoming election. The PDP is not on the ballot. Are you aware? The PDP is not on the ballot. I have not taken my time to look at that of which other states is going in for election. Okay, Ekiti. Ekiti is also preparing for election, and one other state again.
Off-cycle elections.
Off-cycle elections. You understand? So it's most likely like Osun for sure. INEC has released list of candidates and parties that are participating in the election. The PDP is off it. So you should expect more of that between now and the 2027 general election. It's not going to be Uhuru for the PDP. That I can tell you.
Well, right now, for many people within the People's Democratic Party, they said this barrister sounds like a prophet of doom, and there is no light at the end of the tunnel.
But just being realistic.
Well, of course, you've been practical about it, but then, legally speaking, I believe you've been able to peruse the whole constitution of various political parties, I believe.
Very well.
So when, upon the perusal of these legal documents that's supposed to bind various political parties, are there no mechanisms that exist within the party constitution to even resolve these fractional leadership disputes?
All parties have constitutions that make provisions for internal mechanisms. Let me tell you one thing for sure. In this particular republic, beginning from 1999, most of the constitutions of our political parties were duplications of the constitution written by the late Chief Bola Ige for the Alliance for Democracy and the People's Democratic Party. He wrote the constitution because they first formed the People's Democratic Party, which he was a member. He wrote the constitution for PDP, and subsequently, when they felt that the PDP was not going to serve their interests, they formed the Alliance for Democracy. He also wrote the constitution for AD, and subsequent parties just adapt that same constitution. So all parties, virtually all parties in Nigeria, have laid down, established internal procedure, mechanism for addressing discontent, dissent. And in this situation, that is why I called out the Board of Trustees of the PDP a while ago. At this point, the crisis involved members of the National executive committee and the national working committee of the party themselves, which incidentally were about the highest organ of the party that should have been responsible for reconciling or addressing grievances. The only party, the only body that was ahead of these two bodies was the board of trustees. And the board of trustees sat down for too long and did nothing until yesterday. They are calling for reconciliation. I think it is an unfortunate situation, but the internal as provided by the PDP constitution failed the parties because the actors involved were persons who should have been involved in reconciliation if other persons were at war.
So you're saying that the actors involved failed, not the party's constitution that failed itself?
What is a constitution? It is a document. It is human beings that speak life to the constitution. And who are the human beings in these circumstances? The political actors, members of the national
But the
working
human
committee.
beings have come out in convention to also select who they
A
want.
part of the human being.
You not say a part of the human beings. Quite a number of states were represented.
Very well.
Majority of the governors that were then in People's Democratic Party were also represented and also were part of that process.
Very well.
The likes of Mufwang and the rest of them, Lawal Dawudal and the rest of them were part of that
very
convention.
Well, very well.
All of a sudden, the court right now is trying to make the convention to become an unpopular convention, making it to be a convention that is legally void and null. Using the word void ab initio.
Yes.
For whatever reason. As it stands, we've said that it's based on the facts that have been submitted to the courts. But then I'm asking, at this point, if the constitution have a way of the letters leave, and of course you said people, we need the board of trustees and other key players to be able to implement all of this, but then there is a section in the constitution that allows them to go back and do a convention and reconvene and bring back elected officials. Now the court is saying, if 2/3 of the people that came out for that convention gave valid votes, we should not recognize them because that convention was void ab initio because Anyanwu said so. So I'm trying to understand all of this. Is the court in Nigeria trying to divide the minority political party? Because that is what it seems even for the Labour Party. Are the court in Nigeria deliberately try to even create some form of cracks and rancor within the minority political parties?
Oh, Mr. Godwin, while you were making this analysis, something came to my mind. It's even on a matter that I worked on recently. There is a well-established, very prosaic, elaborate dictum of a British law lord, Lord Denning MR, that says when an action is bad or it is void ab initio, it is incurably bad, and there is nothing the law can do about it but to have and expect it to stand. It will collapse. As much as sentimentally as an individual, I would have wished that the Turaki ESCO is validated. Because like you rightly posited, it had the participation of the majority of the actors in PDP as at then. But like I said earlier, landmines were laid for that faction and for the convention. What are the landmines? A faction, the Anyanwu-led faction, went to courts and obtained an injunction restraining the party.
Almost 2 days after to the convention, we saw the Seyi Makinde's faction also going to court to get also a similar injunction to allow
Let me tell you where the confusion is. The Anyanwu faction got their injunction from the Federal High Court. The Seyi Makinde faction went to the Anyanwu faction got their injunction. There were 2 injunctions. They got their injunction earlier in time. Then the Seyi Makinde faction went to an Oyo State court and also got an order okaying the convention. Is it not so? Now, the Oyo State High Court and the Federal High Court are courts of coordinate jurisdiction. The Oyo State High Court cannot vacate or overturn the judgment of the Federal High Court. You understand? It cannot. And since it cannot vacate that judgment, which was already there before its own pronouncement, this has not been vacated. In the eye of the law, it is subsisting. Yours says, okay, you can go ahead. Yours did not make any...
It's of coordinate jurisdiction.
It's of coordinate jurisdiction. But this was first in time. It says, don't do. It restrained the party, it restrained INEC from recognizing, from participating, and all of that. This was affirmative. You can go ahead and do. Now the Court of Appeal, in its own wisdom, says there is another restraining you, because one legal principle that is established in our legal jurisprudence is the fact that no matter how frivolous and flimsy you think an order of court is, it is binding until set aside. So that having been said, the Court of Appeal has upheld the judgment of the Federal High Court and has on that ground nullified the Ibadan Convention. It actually doesn't augur well for our democracy. It is stifling democracy, it is stifling opposition, just like you also noted with respect to the Labour Party and all of that. But unfortunately, that is where we are now. That is the political and legal reality. Unless, like in the case of Labour Party, I think the Supreme Court has laid the matter to rest.
And made it more complex.
How?
But the Supreme Court made it more complex for the Labour Party. It said go back and...
But it recognized the
it's an internal party. The Supreme Court did not outrightly came out to recognize the Nadi Sambo's faction. Usman, I beg your pardon.
Nadi Usman faction.
Rather,
but the faction took up the leadership.
The faction took up at the stakeholders meeting at Transcorp Hotel in Abuja, and the likes of Peter Obi moved from that meeting, stakeholders meeting as it were, to the INEC office to compel INEC to uphold and recognize the judgment of the Nadi Usman's faction. And we saw what played out. Aburi's faction also were saying that the Nadi Usman's faction does not have the power to convene a NEC and stakeholders meeting. That it is the sole responsibility and sole prerogative of the ESCOs to be able to put all of that together. We saw what played out in all of those settings. Now, for a lot of persons within the Labour Party, they'll say that the Labour Party's case, the Supreme Court helped the Labour Party to be more divided and helped to expand the cracks within the Labour Party. But I'm not holding brief for the Labour Party right now. I'm just saying, with this situation playing out right now, where the Supreme Court or the courts in itself is seeing that this meeting, this convention was widely attended, widely recognized. A few individuals within the political party went ahead to get an injunction from the Federal High Court to stop this convention. Of course, whether or not, but then the party constitution supersedes what was expected. Now, if we're supposed to go by the Supreme Court's rulings on Labour Party, that is, the party is supposed to go back and resolve in its entire internal affairs. Are we saying right now that the whole ruling by the court, the Federal High Court right now, and the injunction being gotten and what is being upheld by the Court of Appeal is the right step in the right direction, not trying to even
it's not actually good for our democracy. It's not good for the party. But it is what it is. It is the law as it stands today. Ordinarily, if you ask the average member of the People's Democratic Party and the average Nigerian, they would want a stable PDP. They would want the Turaki faction to continue so that people can have alternative platform to vie for political offices. Because as it stands today, it's also a sad narrative that when the court is called upon to determine a matter as to speak direction to a particular situation, it throws it back to the people to go and reconcile, to go and settle as internal affairs. If the people were able to do that in the first place, they wouldn't have submitted the matter for the determination of the courts. So it doesn't augur well for our democracy. I think democracy is the loser here, and the Nigerian people.
So at this point, will you recommend political negotiation, internal arbitration, or judicial intervention
All of that
as the best way out of the people's democratic crisis?
All of that failed in the first place. That is why they went to court.
But then, as it stands, what will be your recommendation? Political negotiation, internal arbitration, or judicial intervention?
No, judicial intervention. You know, most often than not, judicial intervention in cases that has to do with human relationship doesn't solve problems. Because once you have a loser and you have a winner, the battle may have ended in the courtroom, but it continues on the field. So the best way out of this political logjam is reconciliation. And I think the effort being engineered by the Board of Trustees is the right step in the right direction, though it is belated, if you ask me.
All right. So in your view, if this crisis persists, what does it mean for the future of opposition politics and democratic balance in Nigeria?
Pragmatically speaking, I think Nigerians should wake up from their political slumber, adopt some newer political parties that are bereft of crisis, that are crisis-free. We have a number of political crises that have not been infected by this crisis, that have been crisis syndrome, that are relatively crisis-free. So Nigerians should dust off such political parties and begin to put up their political activities on the platform of such parties. Because as it stands today, the PDP and the Labour Party, which were supposed to be the dominant opposition parties in this present republic, have been infected with some unresolvable crisis. So it is in the best interest of democracy and the Nigerian political space that we should seek alternative political platform that are not crisis infected.
Well, not trying to mock the People's Democratic Party, but then are there lessons for other political parties in Nigeria to even learn from the current turmoil in the People's Democratic Party right now?
Definitely. Right, there are legions of lessons. Legion of lessons. Parties should always ensure that their affairs are conducted in strict accordance to their own rules. Remember, the PDP crisis has been evolving. Remember how they lost the entire seats won by them in Zamfara? And what my lord, the late Justice Oshimana then said was that the PDP had failed to adhere to rules that it made for its own self, which boils down to internal democracy and adherence to your own party's constitution. Parties should learn to do that. Then again, there is need for the Nigerian political class to know that power and politics should be organized in such a way that losers should affairs should be conducted fairly and transparently in such a way that losers should magnanimously accept defeat, and winners should also be magnanimous in victory. So that parties should conduct themselves responsibly, peacefully, and with the greater interest of the society, the party, the society, and the nation at heart. Politicians should desist from this attitude of pulling down the system when it doesn't work in their favor. I think there are a lot of lessons inherent in this PDP crisis for all the political actors within the Nigerian political space.
I believe a lot of politicians right now watching us right now will be able to take one or two from what you've said. But it's on this one I want to say thank you so much, Barrister Salifu, for finding out time to be with us here on Cowero.
It's always my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Well, viewers, how far we can go tonight on the show. Do not forget that you can leave your thoughts, you can leave your comments on our various social media handle currently showing on your screen, and you can also download the Rapid TV app from your Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. My name is Godwin Sunday. Always remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Do enjoy the rest of your night rest. Bye for now.
This is Rapid Broadcasting Network, RBN. We connect people, power stories, and amplify voices. On Rapid TV, we're rooted in culture and your window to the stories that matter. From news to lifestyle, we inform, entertain, and uplift. Join Rapid TV on Star Times.
Correro, your front row seats to the most pressing issues from the corridors of power to the heart of our communities. We bring you unfiltered insight, fearless journalism, and the conversations that matter. And I invite you to this big conversation table as we analyze the top stories, ask the tough questions, and hold power to account. News that informs, analysis that empowers, debate that drives change. Correro, the big conversation, every weekday at 7 p.m. only on Rapid TV.
My name is Akio Sakido.
Hey guys, this is Anto Lecky.
My name is Theo Bliss.
My name is Akava, go by the name Baba D. And you're tuned into Rapid TV.
And I love Rapid TV.
Shout out to
Rapid TV. Thank you, Rapid TV. Please keep watching
Rapid TV. This is Rapid TV.
Rapid TV.
Keep watching.
Keep it down.
Leave it like that.
This is Rapid Broadcasting Network, RBN. We connect people, power stories, and amplify voices. On Rapid TV, we're rooted in culture and your window to the we inform, entertain, and uplift. Join Rapid TV on.
Hey guys, this is Anto Lecky.
My name is Leo Bliss.
My name is Akava. I go by the name Baba D. And you're tuned into Rapid TV.
And I love Rapid TV.
Shout out.
Rapid TV. Thank you, Rapid TV. Please keep watching
Rapid TV. This is Rapid TV.
Hello and welcome to Rapid TV News. I am Godwin Sunday. In the headlines, President Tinubu defends assent to Electoral Act 2026. Tambuwal Abaribe leads 9 senators to ADC. In business, 30 banks meet CBN recapitalization requirements. On the foreign scene, Iran war cost US over $11 billion in 6 days. In sports, Trump wants Iran team against World Cup participation. Details of these and more will come to you in the bulletin. Please stay with us. President Bola Tinubu has defended his assent to the Electoral Act 2026, describing it as a reflection of his administration's commitment to the rule of law and democratic governance. Speaking at the Interfaith Iftar with leaders of the APC and the Inter-Party Advisory Council (IPAC) at the State House, Abuja, the president highlighted his decades-long struggle for democracy, including periods of detention, exile, and his role in the formation of NADECO. He urged political actors across party lines to prioritize peace, stability, and intellectual debate, emphasizing that party membership and alliances remain voluntary. President Bola Tinubu called on Nigerians to respect democratic principles, ensure fair play, and maintain unity while embracing political tolerance. He further underscored the importance of adhering to constitutional provisions and the rule of law in elections. The Electoral Act 2026 now mandates direct and consensus primaries, requires digital membership, registers submitted 21 days before primaries, and limits judicial interference in electoral processes. The president's address comes amid calls from IPAC for reconsideration of some provisions, particularly those impacting small parties, voters' inclusion, and federal support to political association. A wave of defection is reshaping the Senate as several opposition lawmakers officially join the African Democratic Congress (ADC). The move is sparking debate over party loyalty, constitutional provision, and the shifting balance of power in Nigeria's upper chamber. Our correspondent, Cynthia Agbo, reports.
Among the latest senators to join the ADC are Ireti Kingibe, representing the Federal Capital Territory, Victor Ome of Anambra Central, and Tony Nwoye of Anambra North, all from Labour Party. Also moving from the People's Democratic Party are Aminu Waziri Tambuwal of Sokoto State, Sokoto South, Binus Dauda Yori of Adamawa South, Lawal Adamu Usman of Kaduna Central, Mohammed Ogushi Onawo of Nasarawa South, and Austin Okobundu of Abia Central.
Defection. I'm just reading the letter as it is. I wish to inform you of my decision to leave the All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA. I wish to inform you of my decision to leave the All Progressive Grand Alliance and join the African Democratic Congress. This is in line with our collective resolve to rescue and deepen the democratic system in our dear country, Nigeria. Very truly yours, Senator Ejinaya Abaribe. I didn't add anything. I didn't subtract.
The proceedings took a dramatic turn when Senator Inaya Baribe of Abia South announced his intention to leave the All Progressive Grand Alliance for the ADC.
Any option or a position where somebody is sacked from his party. Yes. Therefore, having been sacked from my party since September of 2025,
Deputy Senate President Jibril Barra raised a constitutional point of order, insisting that lawmakers can only defect if there is a division or crisis within the party that sponsored their election.
It says, a member of the Senate or the House of Representatives shall vacate his seat in the House of which he is a member. Right? And I go straight to the relevant subsection here, which is G. And it reads as follows. A person whose election to the House was sponsored by one political party. Section 68G, sub G. G as in Gabriel. He becomes a member of any other political party before the expiration of the period for which that house was elected, provided that his membership of the latter political party is not as a result of a division.
In response, Abaribe explained that he had been suspended by ABGA since September 2025, a situation he said prompted his decision to seek a new political platform.
Any option or a position where somebody is sacked from his party. Yes. Therefore, having been sacked from my party since September of 2025, and I have the letter here, I can read the letter. What else?
Please.
What it says very clearly, that provided there is a division, but there is nothing that says if you have been sacked. So you're no longer a member if you're sacked. And I have the evidence, I have the letters, and I have everything. That is for... You must belong to a political...
The explanation triggered further debate as Senate leader Opeyemi Bamidele questioned the senator's continued tenure, suggesting that if Abaribe was no longer a member of the party on whose platform he was elected, his seat could be declared vacant.
Let us give Senator Abaribe an opportunity to withdraw his letter, and then we continue to see how we can manage having him in this chamber. Today, he's not a member of any political party. He's not part of the majority. He's not part of the minority side. Unless we are going to create a third aisle for people who don't belong to either the majority or the minority.
In his ruling, Senate President Godswill Akpabio asked Abaribe to reconsider his position and return to the chamber with a clearer stance at the next Senate sitting.
Finally, Senator Abaribe, you have spoken twice on this issue. You don't need to, you see, let me tell you why I'm trying, let me protect you. You have spoken twice. The third time, you don't know what you will say. And then, just like I can now see that Senator Ome does not love you because he has tried everything to provoke the chambers. And yet, we refuse to be provoked because of the respect we have for you. So, we will give you until our next sitting to reconsider or take a decision.
As senators switch sides, the focus now turns to the legal and political implications, leaving questions over loyalty, rules, and the balance of power unresolved. From the National Assembly in Abuja, Cynthia Agbo, Rapid TV News.
Meanwhile, the African Democratic Congress ADC has rejected reports that Senator Ireti Kindibe of the Federal Capital Territory was suspended by a party ward over alleged anti-party activities. The Wuse World had reportedly accused the senator of withholding funds during recent elections, prompting an open letter questioning her commitment to party campaigns. However, the ADC national leadership dismissed the claims as false, emphasizing that any disciplinary action must follow constitutional channels, not public announcements. Senator Kindebe joined the party in December 2025, shortly after leaving the Labour Party, and the party insists it remains fully supportive of our role in the Federal Capital Territory. The National Publicity Secretary Bolaji Abdullahi further highlighted that the party's internal mechanisms are sufficient for handling any alleged infractions. The clarification comes as political tensions grow in the FCT, where party cohesion and accountability remains under scrutiny. The ADC continues to assert that Senator Kindebe's suspension is baseless and that the reports circulating in the media are misleading, reassuring both members and the public of adherence to democratic procedures within the party. The House of Representatives has passed the Federal Capital Territory Administration's 2026 Appropriation Bill for second reading, marking a key step in legislative process for the territory's proposed spending plan for the coming year. The budget proposal, which outlines funding for personnel, overhead and capital projects across the Federal Capital Territory, will now proceed to the next stage of legislative scrutiny by lawmakers. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has continued his inspection of major ongoing infrastructural projects across Abuja, reaffirming the administration's commitment to providing and improving critical facilities in the nation's capital. The project inspected include the Court of Appeal Complex, the Judges' Quarters, as well as the CN2 and Ossex Road projects aimed at enhancing connectivity within the city. Our correspondent was there and reports. It was a busy day for the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, as he embarked on an inspection tour of key infrastructure projects across Abuja. The tour began at the Court of Appeal Complex, where construction is ongoing to strengthen judicial infrastructure in the Federal Capital Territory. From there, the minister proceeded to inspect the Judges' Quarters, a residential facility designed to provide comfortable accommodation for members of the judiciary. Speaking during the visit, the FCT minister stressed the importance of delivering quality infrastructure that supports effective governance and the smooth operation of key institutions in the nation's capital.
Judges' Quarters, we inspected primarily the Federal High Court section, which has been furnished. You remember that the Federal Court has 10 duplexes, the FCT High Court has 20 duplexes, and the Court of Appeal also will have 10 duplexes. All these projects will be inaugurated during Mr. President's third year anniversary.
The inspection tour also took the minister to the CN2 Road and OSEX Road project, a major road infrastructure aimed at improving connectivity and easing traffic movement within the city. During the visit, Barrister Wike reiterated the administration's commitment to completing all ongoing projects on schedule, noting that infrastructural development remains a top priority for the Federal Capital Territory Administration.
We also went to the road at Kalabwe. It's like a ring road. Very impressed with the contractor, CGC. What we saw now again, we're in Ossex. It's the second section of the Ossex. And the contractor has also promised that about 4 kilometers, they have asphalted the remaining they were in the course. And by the time they launch this bridge, they believe, obviously, that this is part of the project Mr. President will inaugurate his 30th anniversary. I'm very much impressed at what CGC is doing.
The minister also commended the contractors handling the project and urged them to maintain high-quality standards while meeting agreed deadlines. The inspection tour highlights the FCT's administration's continued drive to accelerate infrastructural development and improve transportation, governance, and living standards in the nation's capital. In Abuja, Godwin Sunday for Rapid TV News. In other developments, the Court of Appeal in Akure has affirmed Wole Oluyede as the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party for the 2026 Ekiti elections. A three-member panel overturned a previous federal high court ruling that had nullified the party's primary election, declaring the process lawful and compliant with the party constitution and electoral act. Oluyede, a medical expert, had secured 279 votes in the primary, defeating his closest rival, Funsho Ayeni, and the appellate court's judgment restores his candidacy. The ruling is expected to bring clarity to the party's internal disputes ahead of the elections. The court's decision reinforces the legality of the People's Democratic Party's primary conducted by its National Working Committee, led by Kabiru Turaki. With the affirmation, Oluyede's campaign is now on solid footing as the party seeks to maintain unity and focus on electoral preparations. Analysts note that the judgment could set a precedent for resolving intra-party disputes, emphasizing the role of appellate courts for protecting party procedures and democratic governance in Nigeria's electoral system. Meanwhile, the Federal High Court in Abuja has granted the ICPC permission to examine electoral devices recovered from former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai's residence. Justice Joyce Abdulmalik approved forensic inspection and data extraction from devices including mobile phones, laptops, tablets, and flash drives as part of an ongoing corruption investigation. The ex-governor is challenging the search and seeking $1 billion in damages, citing violations of his constitutional right to privacy, fair hearing, and personal liberty. The court ruling allows the ICPC to analyze public documents, WhatsApp chats, call logs, and other electronic data for investigative purposes. El-Rufai argues that the search warrant used in February 2026 was invalid, overlabored, and contained material errors amounting to unlawful intrusion. The court has listed ICPC, the Inspector General of Police, and the Attorney General of the Federation as respondents. The case is ongoing, and the next hearing is expected to address both the legality of the warrant and the forensic examination of the devices, a development closely watched as part of Nigeria's broader anti-corruption efforts. In another development, the Nigerian police force has officially retired former Inspector General of Police Egbetokun Kayode, marking the end of his tenure in service. Egbetokun, accompanied by his wife, attended a ceremony in Abuja where he reflected on his leadership, noting that improvements in cybercrime investigations and overall operational capabilities. Appointed IGP by President Bola Tinubu in 2023, he resigned in February 2026, citing family consideration, and was succeeded by Olatunji Disun, formerly Assistant Inspector General of Police. Critics have previously raised concern about the extension of Egbetokun's tenure beyond the mandatory retirement age, but the police force clarified that his service continued per original appointment terms. During his farewell, Egbetokun described leading the police as one of his highest privileges of his life, emphasizing the commitment of security and crime reduction under his watch. His tenure saw structural and investigative improvements, with particular attention to cybercrime. His resignation and the appointment of a successor mark a new phase for the Nigerian police force as the government continues to strengthen policing and maintain public safety across the country. Meanwhile, Justice Muhammad Umar of the Federal High Court in Abuja has warned that bail granted to politicians and online publisher Omoyele Sowore may be revoked if he fails to appear at the next hearing. Sowore is facing trial on cybercrime charges, including allegations of making false claims against President Bola Tinubu on social media. The Prosecuting counsel confirmed that Sowore and its lawyers were duly served with a hearing notice but were absent during Thursday's proceedings, prompting the judge to issue a stern warning. Justice Umar noted that previous adjournments were at the request of both defense and prosecution, giving Sowore the benefit of the doubt for his first absence. The judge further stated that failure to attend the next hearing could lead to issuance of a bench warrant to compel his production in court. The case was adjourned until March the 16th, and the court ordered that the defense be fully and formally served with the hearing notices. The warning signals the judiciary's strict stance on compliance with court orders in cybercrime cases and highlights ongoing effort to maintain accountability in online political discourse. To security matters, tension is set to be mounting within terrorist camps linked to the Islamic State of West African province, ISWAP, following the killing of one of its top commanders, Modu Kunduli. Reports indicate that troops of Operation Adikai neutralized the insurgents during a failed attack on the forward operating base in Mayanti village, Bama local government area of Borno State. Security analyst Zagozola Makama reports that Kunduli had been a prominent figure in the insurgency for more than a decade, coordinating attacks across Borno and Adamawa states. He was previously aligned with Boko Haram before joining ISWAP after the death of its former leader Abubakar Shakau in 2021. Analysts believe his elimination represents a significant setback for the group's operation in the northeast part of Nigeria. Meanwhile, Nigerian troops have continued aggressive patrol in the area to prevent remaining fighters from regrouping and relaunching further attacks in the neighboring communities. The Federal Ministry of Health has begun implementing a national policy on cosmetic safety and health, starting with a stakeholders' engagement in Lagos State. The policy aims to sanitize the cosmetic sector, strengthen regulations, improve labeling, and raise awareness about health risk of unsafe cosmetic products. Federal and state agencies including NAFDAC, the Federal Ministry of Environment, and the World Health Organization are collaborating to ensure proper compliance. Officials emphasize that manufacturers, regulators, and consumers share responsibility for ensuring safety, and sanctions will be imposed on violators. The initiative follows NAFDAC's discovery of a Lagos warehouse stocked with banned and unregistered cosmetics worth over 3 billion naira. Items seized include soaps, perfumes, body oils, and other potentially harmful products. The federal government aims to align Nigeria's cosmetic industry with international best practices while protecting public health. Stakeholders say the 5-year program will not only safeguard cosmetic consumers but also foster accountability among manufacturers and distributors, reducing the proliferation of substandard and dangerous cosmetic products nationwide. Meanwhile, the Nnamdi Azikiwe University Teaching Hospital has suspended a controversial 580,000 naira tuition fee for nursing students after protests from students. The Chief Medical Director, Professor Joseph Ugwaja, confirmed the decision, explaining that the suspension followed meetings with student representatives, hostel management, and the governing board. Students had protested a 500% increment from 90,000 naira to 580,000 naira, arguing that they were not properly involved in the final decision-making process. Professor Gwaja assured that a joint committee would now consult students to determine a way forward. He also defended the revised fee, noting it remains the lowest in the southeast region and reflects a transition from the basic nursing program to the ND-HND structure. Professor Gwaja highlighted funding challenges, including the lack of TETFund support for teaching hospitals, and explained that the adjustment is part of the hospital's vision to rank among the top 3 teaching hospitals in Nigeria by 2030. The decision seeks to balance the accountability and affordability for students with the institution's developmental goals. In another development, the International Organization for Migration (IMO) reports that over 3.7 million people are currently displaced within Nigeria due to conflict, violence, and climate-related shocks such as flooding. Sharon Damache, Chief of Mission in Nigeria, said families are struggling to rebuild lives with dignity, stressing that humanitarian effort must go beyond emergency relief to provide long-term solutions. IOM's focus includes protecting people on the move, facilitating durable solutions, and enabling safe, orderly, and regular migration. Damache added that Nigeria must move from merely managing displacement to creating opportunities for safe returns, local integration, and resilient communities. She emphasized the importance of supporting affected populations with life-saving assistance and pathways to recovery. The IOM report highlights the urgent need for coordinated government and humanitarian action to restore stability, empower displaced persons, and mitigate the social and economic impact of ongoing crises across the country. Meanwhile, Nigerians may face a worsening power supply as gas supply is threatening to halt deliveries over a 3.3 trillion naira debt owed by electricity generation companies. Dr. Joy Ogaji, CEO of Association of Power Generation Companies, disclosed that gas shortages have constrained thermal plants, limiting electricity generations to 3,334 megawatts. The debt which the federal government owes gas suppliers has grown to 6.8 trillion naira, affecting supply reliability and causing persistent blackouts nationwide. The Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, and the Minister of State for Petroleum, Ekperikpe Ekpo, are addressing the matter, but Nigerians have yet to see improvement. Rising fuel and diesel prices further worsen the situation. Analysts warn that unless the debt is resolved, electricity shortages will continue, impacting households, businesses, and economic activities. Consumers are urged to prepare for intermittent power as stakeholders negotiate settlements and work to stabilize energy supply across the country. Elsewhere, residents of Makoko, Oko Agbon, and Songoro communities in the Yaba area of Lagos State have rejected a proposed plan to relocate them to Ekpe following the demolition of their homes in the waterfront settlement. Community members say there was no formal agreement with the state government on relocation despite several meetings and engagements. According to the residents, discussions with the government officials had only involved suggestions and debate without any final decision. They also questioned claims regarding ownership of the waterfront communities, insisting that Makoko has existed for decades as a fishing settlement inhabited mainly by the Ogun people. Residents say they prefer a plan where government designates boundaries and develops the remaining areas into low-cost housing. They warned that they may organize peaceful protests if relocation plans are imposed without proper consultations. Turning to the weather, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, has issued a nationwide warning over rising temperatures across several parts of the country. The agency says residents of Benue, Nasarawa, the Federal Capital Territory, Kogi, Niger, Kebbi, Cross River, Oyo, Ogun, and other inland areas of southern Nigeria are particularly vulnerable to extreme heat conditions. NIMET explained that prolonged exposure to high temperatures could lead to heat stress, a condition that occurs when the body cannot cool itself effectively. The agency noted that dehydration, poor ventilation, heavy clothing, and excessive physical activities can worsen the situation. Vulnerable groups include children, the elderly, outdoor workers, and people with underlying health conditions. To reduce health risk, NIMET advised Nigerians to stay hydrated, avoid prolonged exposure to the sun, wear light clothing, and remain in well-ventilated spaces. Parents were also cautioned not to leave children unattended to in parked vehicles during hot weathers. And you're still watching a live broadcast of Rapid News Hour. When the news returns, 30 banks meet CBN recapitalization requirements. Iran war cost US over $11 billion in 6 days. The details of these and more are on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
This is Rapid Broadcasting Network, RBN. We connect people, power stories, and amplify voices. On Rapid TV, we're rooted in culture and your window to the stories that matter. From news to lifestyle, we inform, entertain, and uplift.
My name is Faith After Joseph. My name is Martha Alu.
My name is Victor Arke.
My name is Divine Alex.
My name is Esther Omen.
My name is Arthur James Brooks.
My name is Godwin Sunday.
And the stories that show the leaders shaping Nigeria's future.
Welcome back. The House of Representatives has passed the Federal Capital Territory Administration's 2026 Appropriation Bill for second reading, marking a key step in the legislative process for the territory's proposed spending plan for the coming year. The budget proposal, which outlines funding for personnel, overhead and capital projects across the Federal Capital Territory, will now proceed to the next stage of legislative scrutiny by lawmakers. Our correspondent Linda Ike reports.
The bill read on the floor by Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu authorizes the issuance of about 2.2 trillion naira from the FCT Administration Statutory Revenue Fund for the 2026 financial year, covering the period from January 1 to December 31. A breakdown of the proposal shows over 1.65 trillion naira allocated for personal costs, about 378 billion naira for overhead expenses, while 165.7 billion naira is for capital projects aimed at infrastructure and development within the Federal Capital Territory.
While the balance of 1,650,792,043,617 naira only is for capital projects for the service of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, for the financial year commencing 1st January and ending 31st December 2026, and for related matters. This is standing in the name of Honorable Julius Ihombere. Honorable members will recall that the bill was read the first time on Wednesday, 12 March 2026. I now invite Honorable Ihombere to move that the bill be now read the second time.
The bill has now been referred for further legislative consideration and scrutiny by the relevant committees. Meanwhile, the House raised concerns over the alleged over-admission of students at the University of Benin. The issue was brought before the House through a motion of public importance sponsored by Awaji Inombek Abiante, who represents Andoni Obobo Nkoro Federal Constituency in Rivers State. Abiante alleged that the university admitted about 350 students into its optometry program, far exceeding the institution's accredited capacity. He warned that such practices could place under pressure on facilities, traumatize students and parents, and undermine the quality of Nigeria's higher education system.
We have
have that legal obligation to ensure that the hopes of the students and the families are always renewed. And that is why we are here, Mr. Speaker. Aware that regulated academic programs such as optometry, medicine, dentistry, nursing, law, etc., are governed by strict accreditation standards and admission quotas set by relevant professional councils and regulatory bodies.
The House subsequently referred the motion to the relevant committees for investigation and further legislative action. In a related development, the House also called for an investigation into reports that locally fabricated grinding machines used in food preparation may pose serious health risks to Nigerians. The resolution followed the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance sponsored by Wale Raji, representing Epe Federal Constituency of Lagos State. In his lead debate, the lawmaker cited findings for the Federal Institute of Industrial Research, which warned that contamination during the grinding process could expose users to dangerous heavy metals.
They need to investigate alleged contamination of food by locally fabricated grinding machines and its link to rising cases of organ failure and cardiovascular diseases in Nigeria. Mr. Speaker, I move that this motion be presented as a matter of urgent public importance. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Following the debate, the House mandated its Committee on Healthcare Services, Industry, Science and Technology and Commerce to conduct a joint investigation and report back within 6 weeks for legislative action. Also during plenary, the Green Chamber witnessed the defection of 12 lawmakers, with some moving from opposition parties to the ruling party, while others switched between opposition parties. Plenary was later adjourned to March 31, 2026 for the Salah break. Linda Ike, Rapid TV News.
And now to business. 30 out of 35 banks in Nigeria have met the central bank's recapitalization requirement as at March 12, 2026, leaving 5 banks with just 19 days to comply before the March 31st deadline. 2 of the remaining banks, Union Bank and Unity Bank, are already in merger arrangements, which effectively meet the recapitalization rules. The program, launched in November 2023 and formalized in March 2024, requires banks to hold capital proportional to their operational scope, ranging from 10 billion naira to regional banks to 500 billion naira for international banks. This is the second major recapitalization in Nigeria's banking history, following reforms in 2004 that reduced the number of banks and strengthened their resilience. The current initiative aims to improve balance sheets, facilitate international expansion, and support economic growth. Banks that have met the threshold include Access Bank, Zenith Bank, UBA, Fidelity Bank, Stanbic IBTC, Wema Bank, Jais Bank, and several other merchant banks. Analysts say the move will consolidate the sector and increase investors' confidence across the country. Well, we'll now join our business desk for more on the business stories.
Nigeria's economy and the global market. Today, we begin with encouraging signals from the foreign exchange market before moving to developments in the energy sector and global oil supply concerns. The Nigeria's currency recorded its strongest appreciation in 3 weeks at the official foreign exchange market on Wednesday. The data from the Central Bank of Nigeria shows the naira strengthened to 1,376 naira, 19 kobo per dollar, compared with 1,401 naira 40 kobo the previous day. This represents a daily gains of 25 naira 21 kobo, signaling a break from the recent depreciation trend against the US dollar. Meanwhile, Nigeria's foreign reserves rose slightly to $50 billion and $100 million as of March 10th, up from $49 billion, $990 million recorded the previous day. However, The naira weakened marginally at the parallel market, slipping to 1,430 naira per dollar from 1,420. Analysts say the movement highlights ongoing adjustments in Nigeria's foreign exchange market. Still on energy and fiscal development, the federal government is maintaining its push to strengthen domestic refining capacity. The federal government has again suspended the issuance of petrol import licenses as local refining capacity continues to meet Nigeria's domestic fuel demand. The development was disclosed by the Office of the Special Assistant to the President on social media in a statement shared on the X platform by presidential aide Dada Olusegun. According to the statement, the suspension has now lasted for 2 consecutive months and reflects the government's commitment to prioritizing locally refined petroleum products. Authorities say the move is also in line with provisions of the Petroleum Industry Act, which encourages reliance on domestic refining before fuel imports are approved. The officials believe the policy will support the growth of Nigeria's refining sector and gradually reduce the country's dependence on imported petroleum products. Meanwhile, tensions in the Middle East are raising fresh concerns about global oil supply and prices. 3 more foreign vessels have reportedly been struck in the Persian Gulf, intensifying concerns over shipping safety near the strategic Strait of Hormuz. Maritime authorities say a container ship was hit by a projectile near the port city of Jebel Ali in the United Arab Emirates, causing a small fire on board, although all crew members were reported safe. Earlier incidents also saw 2 foreign oil tankers set ablaze near Iraq's Qasr port, with several crew members rescued. The attacks come amid escalating tensions following recent military strikes involving Iran, the United States, and Israel. The Strait of Hormuz hurdles roughly 20% of global oil and gas shipments, and disruptions there have pushed crude prices sharply higher, with Brent crude nearing $100 per barrel as traders monitor supply risks. And that wraps up today's business update. I am Divine Alex. Now the Rapid TV News Hour continues. Please stay with us.
Now to international news. The United States have reportedly spent over $11.3 billion during the first week of its military operations against Iran, according to Pentagon briefings reported by the New York Times. This figure, which excludes costs related to the military buildup, reflects the rapid consumption of weapons, equipment, and resources, highlighting the steep financial impacts of the conflict. Defense analysts estimate the first 100 hours of operations alone cost $3.7 billion, or nearly $891 million per day. The Iran War Cost Tracker website reports that spending has exceeded $17 billion and daily expenses average $1 billion. Experts caution that the total financial burden will now grow further as long-term costs such as veteran care and reconstruction are factored in. The high expenditure underscores the broader economic implication of military conflict for the United States, placing additional scrutiny on lawmakers overseeing defense budgets and the country's global military engagements. Meanwhile, Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Kanani, has made his first public statement calling for national unity and resilience while mourning personal losses. Speaking on state television, he acknowledged the death of his father, wife, and other family members during recent conflicts. He extended condolences to all Iranians' family affected and promised that the nation would avenge the martyrs. The leaders emphasized faith, patience, and solidarity as essential tools to overcome hardship. Kanani also praised the citizens who resisted the enemy and called on all Iranians to remain steadfast. He warned that revenge for the fallen would be persuaded, while stressing the importance of unity to prevent further divisions. The address marks a significant moment in Iran's leadership transition amid ongoing military conflict, signaling both personal resolve and a message of national mobilization in the face of external threats. In West Africa, Senegal's National Assembly has passed a bill significantly tightening laws against same-sex relations and related advocacy. The legislation doubles maximum prison sentences to 10 years and criminalizes promotion or financing of homosexuality. Approved by 135 votes with 3 abstentions, the bill fulfills the ruling party's campaign promise and now awaits the president's signature to become law. Existing penal code provisions already criminalize same-sex activities, but the new legislature broadens offenses, increases fines, and limits judicial discretion in sentencing. Supporters of the law argue it protects cultural and social values. Religious and civil society leaders welcome the measures, warning that delays in signing the law could allow offenders to evade justice. Demonstrations preceding the vote reflected strong public support among certain groups, while critics argue the move further marginalizes LGBTQ plus communities. The development marks a significant policy shift in West Africa, aligning Senegal with a growing trend of stricter anti-LGBTQ legislation in the region. And up next is entertainment news.
Hello and welcome to the Entertainment Roundup, your quick update on the biggest stories shaping in music, celebrity culture, and the global showbiz scene. Let's begin with Afropop star Arasta, who is opening up about the surprising push behind her race to fame. She revealed that her music career was sparked by an unusual form of motivation from her mother. Speaking during an interview, the singer explained that her mother encouraged her to post singing videos online and even threatened to stop sending money while she was in school if she refused. According to Star, that push helped her to build an online presence that eventually led to her breakthrough in the music industry. Meanwhile, the singer is expanding music as she prepares for her acting out in the film Adoption of Children of Blood and Bone, where she starred alongside Hollywood actor Viola Davis and Idris Elba. The star also revealed that she hoped to explore more roles in film, particularly in the action or thriller genre, while continue to work on new music she described as authentic and deeply personal. Still in the music industry, Marvin record boss Don Jazzy is sharing details about what he looks for in a romantic partner. Don Jazzy revealed that he described as his ideal partner during a recent appearance on the Is This Seat-Taking podcast hosted by actress Chinasa Anaku. According to the Marvin record founder, he values a partner who is affectionate and easygoing, explaining that he prefers a calm relationship without unnecessary conflict or stress. However, the founder also made it clear that he has little tolerance for toxic behavior. Don Jazzy said he immediately walks away from relationships that involve aggression or consistent tension. The music mogul, who previously spoke about being unmarried due to his intense focus on his career, saying maintaining peace of mind remains a top priority in his personal life. And now to international entertainment news involving global music icon Rihanna. A woman accused of opening fire outside Rihanna's Los Angeles home has made her first appearance in court. Authorities said the suspect allegedly fired a semi-automatic weapon towards the singer resident, striking outer gate to the property but not the house itself. Unfortunately, no injuries were reported, although several people were inside the home at the time of the incident. Meanwhile, prosecutors say the suspect now faces multiple criminal charges, including attempted murder and several counts of assault with a firearm. If convicted, she could face life imprisonment. Police said she was arrested shortly after the incident in the Sharomas Oaks area of Los Angeles. Representatives of Rihanna have yet to comment publicly on the situation. And that's your entertainment roundup for today. I am Victoria Adek. Thanks for listening.
And finally, in sport, despite Nigerians' formal appeal to FIFA over player eligibility, the Democratic Republic of Congo has announced its 26-man squad for the upcoming World Cup Intercontinental Playoff in Mexico. Head coach Sebastian de Sarabia confirmed the list, which notably exclude 2 players named in Nigerians' compliance, while including only one of the 3 contested players. The fixture represents a crucial chance for Congo Democratic to secure a World Cup ticket, and preparations are underway despite ongoing controversies. Nigeria alleges that several Congolese players received nationality clearance shortly before the decisive playoff match, raising questions about procedural compliance. FIFA has yet to issue an official verdict. Meanwhile, Congo's Democratic Republic signals the team's readiness to proceed with the tournament, highlighting tensions between National Football Association over players' eligibility. The full squad includes goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, and forwards drawn from European and African clubs, emphasizing the international scope of the team's preparation and ambitions. In another development, U.S. President Donald Trump has warned that Iran's national football team could face serious risk to life and safety if they attend the upcoming World Cup in North America. The warning follows discussion with FIFA chief Gianni Infantino, who said the Iranian players are welcome to compete despite the ongoing Middle East conflict. Trump emphasized that while the team is invited, participating under current circumstances may endanger players amid the war triggered by U.S.-Israeli strikes in February. The president's comments has also come after earlier interventions on behalf of the Iranian women's footballers in Australia, ensuring that safety and asylum. The warning underscores the intersection of global sport, diplomacy, and ongoing military tensions, highlighting the precautions position and of athletes amid international conflicts. Officials continue to monitor the situation closely, weighing participation in the tournament against potential threats to the players' security. Away from that, Nigerian senior women's basketball team, the Tigers, began their FIBA Women's World Cup qualifying campaign with a commanding 70-37 victory over Colombia in France. The 7-time African champions dominated the contest from the opening quarter, setting the tone early with strong defense and efficient attacking play. Under head coach Rena Wakama, Nigeria gradually extended their lead through disciplined team and tactical execution. Victoria Macaulay led the scoring with 13 points, while Nicolo Enabasi contributed 10 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists in an impressive all-round performance. Pela Kunayi Akpana, also Ifunaya Okoro also played key defensive roles. The victory marks another milestone for Wakama, who has recorded 14 competitive wins since taking charge in 2023. Although Nigeria have already qualified for the 2026 World Cup after winning the AfroBasket title, the tournament provides valuable preparations ahead of their next match against Korea. And to end the news, here is a recap of our top stories. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu defends assent to Electoral Act 2026. Tambuwal Abarire leads 9 senators to ADC. In business, 30 banks meet CBN recapitalization requirements. On the foreign scene, Iran war cost US over $11 billion in 6 days. And in sports, President Donald Trump warns Iran team against World Cup participation. And that's the size of our package for tonight. Do not forget that you can follow us across all our social media handles currently showing on your screen. And you can also download the Rapid TV app from your Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. My name is Godwin Sunday. Thank you for watching.
My name is Akio Sakiodora.
Hey guys, this is Anto Lecky.
My name is Leo Bliss.
My name is Akava. I go by the name Baba D. And you're tuned into Rapid TV.
And I love Rapid TV.
Shout out
Rapid TV. Thank you, Rapid TV. Please keep watching
Rapid TV. This is Rapid TV.
Rapid TV.
Keep watching.
Keep it well down.
Leave it like that.
This is Rapid Broadcasting Network, RBN. We connect people, power stories, and amplify voices. On Rapid TV, we're rooted in culture and your window to the stories that matter. From news to lifestyle, we inform, entertain, and uplift. Join
My name is Akio Sakiodora.
Hey guys, this is Anto Lecky.
My name is Leo Bliss.
My name is Akava. I go by the name Baba D. And you're tuned into Rapid TV.
And I love Rapid TV.
Shout out
Rapid TV. Thank you, Rapid TV. Please keep watching
Rapid TV. This is Rapid TV.
Rapid TV.
Keep watching.
Keep it well down.
Leave it like that.
My name is Akio Sakiodora.
Hey guys, this is Anto Lecky.
My name is Leo Bliss.
My name is Akava. I go by the name Baba D. And you're tuned into Rapid TV.
And I love Rapid TV.
Interviews, music, entertainment, thought-provoking discussions, and more? Don't sweat it, man. We've got you covered. No matter where you are, be part of the action. 24/7, online and live. Caesar Radio.
On Facebook, it's Rapid FM Umuahia. On Instagram, it's official Rapid FM. And on X, it is Rapid FM 965. Tune in to Rapid 96.5 FM or listen to us live on our website at www.rapidfm965.com or radiogarden.com. Better yet, get our mobile app from the Google Play Store. Catch the pulse of the South.
This is Rapid Broadcasting Network, RBN. We connect people, power stories, and amplify voices. On Rapid TV, we're rooted in culture and your window to the stories that matter. From news to lifestyle, we inform, entertain, and uplift. Join Rapid TV on Star Times.
Hey guys, this is Anto Lecky.
My name is Leo Bliss.
My name is Akava. I go by the name Baba D. And you're tuned into Rapid TV.
And I love Rapid TV.
Shout out
Rapid TV. Thank you, Rapid TV. Please keep watching
Rapid TV. This is Rapid TV.
Rapid TV.
Keep watching.
Keep it well down.
Leave it like that.
To know my favorite vocalist and America's #1 song stylist, Miss Billie Holiday.
Hey there, baby, make up your mind, 'cause I've been waiting such a long, long time. Now, baby, I've been so...
This is one of Jazzy's greatest singers in her prime. But within 10 years of this performance, she was dead. Her body wrecked.
Leaders, protectors, history makers. There is one job at the top that guarantees your name in the history books. A job that pledges to defend the Constitution and guard the free world. Freedom, liberty, and justice.